Roleplay, Great Gatsby. F. Scott Fitzgerald embodies the stereotypical 1920 themes in J. Gatsby's lavish, extravagant parties. There was music from a neighbor's house through the summer nights. In his blue gardens, men and girls came and went like moths among the whisperings and the champagne and the stars. At high tide in the afternoon, I watched his guest, driving from the tower of his raft, or taking the sun on the hot sand of his beach, while his two motorboats slit the waters of the Sound, drawing aquaplanes over cataracts of foam. On weekends, his Rolls-Royce became an omnibus, bearing parties to and from the city between 9 in the morning and long past midnight, while his station wagon scampered like a brisk yellow bug to meet all trains. And on Mondays, 8 servants, including an extra gardener, toiled all day with mops and scrubbing brushes and hammers and garden shears, repairing the ravages of the night before. Every Friday, 5 crates of oranges and lemons arrived from a fruiterer in New York. Every Monday, these same oranges and lemons left his back door in a pyramid of pulpless halves. There was a machine in the kitchen which should extract the juice of 200 oranges in half an hour if a little button was pressed 200 times by a butler's son. At least once a fortnight, a corps of caterers came down with several hundred feet of canvas, and enough colored lights to make a Christmas tree of Gatsby's enormous garden. On buffet tables, garnished with glistening hors d'oeuvres, spiced baked hams, crowded against salads of harlequin designs, and pastry pigs and turkeys bewitched to a dark gold. In the main hall, a bar with a brass rail was set up, and stocked with gins and liquors, and with cordials so long forgotten that most of his female guests were too young to know one from another. By 7 o'clock, the orchestra has arrived. No thin 5-piece affair, but a whole pitful of oboes and trombones and saxophones and violas and cornets and piccios and low and high drums. The last swimmers have come in from the beach now and are dressing upstairs. The cars from New York are parked 5 deep in the drive, and already the halls and salons and verandas are gaudy with primary colors and hair shorn in strange new ways, and shawls beyond the dreams of Castile. The bar is in full swing, and floating around the cocktails permeate the garden outside, until the air is alive with chatter and laughter and casual innuendo and introductions forgotten on the spot, and enthusiastic meetings between women who never knew each other's names. The lights grow brighter as the earth lurches away from the sun, and now the orchestra is playing yellow cocktail music, and the opera voices pitches a key higher, laughter is easier by the minute. Spilled with prodigality, tipped out at a cheerful word, the groups change more swiftly, swell with new arrivals, dissolve and form in the same breath. Already there are wanderers, confident girls who weave here and there among the stouter and more stable, become for a sharp, joyous moment the center of a group, and then, excited with triumph, glide on through the sea change of faces and voices and color under the constantly changing light. Suddenly, one of these gypsies, in trembling opal, seizes the cocktail out of the air, dumps it down for courage, and moving her hands like Frisco, dances out along on the canvas platform. A momentary hush. The orchestra leader varies his rhythm obligingly for her, and there's a burst of chatter as the erroneous news goes around that she is Gilda Gray's understudy from the Follies. The party has begun. I believe on the first night I went to Gatsby's house, I was one of the few guests who had actually been invited. People were not invited. They went there. They got into automobiles which bore them out to Long Island, and somehow they ended up at Gatsby's door. Once there, they went introduced by somebody who knew Gatsby, and after that, they conducted themselves according to the rules of behavior associated with an amusement park. Sometimes they came and went without having met Gatsby at all, came for the party with a simplicity of heart that was its own ticket of admission. I had actually been invited. A chauffeur in a uniform of robin's egg blue crossed my lawn early that Saturday morning with a surprisingly formal note from his employer. The honor would entirely Gatsby's, it said, if I would attend his little party that night. He had seen me several times, and had intended to call on me long before, but a peculiar combination of circumstances had prevented it. Signed, J. Gatsby, in a majestic hand. Dressed up in white flannels, I went over to his lawn a little after 7, and wandered around rather ill at ease among swirls and eddies of people I didn't know, though here and there was a face I had noticed on the commuting train. I was immediately struck by the number of young Englishmen dotted about, all well dressed, all looking a little hungry, and all talking in low, earnest voices, two solid and prosperous Americans. I was sure that they were selling something, bonds or insurance or automobiles. They were at least agonizingly aware of the easy money in the vicinity, and convinced that it was there for a few words in the right key. As soon as I arrived, I made an attempt to find my host, but the 2 or 3 people of whom I asked his whereabouts stared at me in such an amazed way and denied so vehemently any knowledge of his movements that I slunk off in that direction of the cocktail table, the only place in the garden where a single man could linger without looking purposely alone. To begin with my analysis of the passage, I would like to point out the line of, "Men and girls came and went like moths among the whisperings and the champagne and the stars." This shows that men and women move along with the gossip. They come to these parties for the secrets that are happening in the area. Another line I would like to point out is, "His Rolls Royce became an omnibus." This shows luxury, and Rolls Royces are a universal symbol for luxury. Another line that shows luxury is, "Every Friday, 5 crates of oranges and lemons arrived from a fruiterer in New York." This is luxury because he has the money to be able to import fruits. A line that shows new technology is, "There is a machine in the kitchen which could extract the juice of 200 oranges in half an hour." This is new machinery, new inventions, but this line mostly shows that he has the money for the best. He has the best of the best because he has enough money to buy it. A line that shows jazz is, "A whole pit full of oboes and trombones and saxophones and violas and cornets and piccolos and low and high drums." These are jazz instruments, and jazz music was the music of the era. A line that shows alcohol, drinking, and getting drunk is, "Laughter is easier by the minute." This is obviously a reference to people getting drunk, and when people are drunk, they laugh, they have a good time. People come to these parties without knowing anyone, and alcohol is the escape for them to break their social bearings. A line that shows women stepping outside of their boundaries is, "Suddenly, one of these gypsies, in trembling opal, seizes a cocktail out of the air, dumps it down for courage, and moving her hands like Frisco, dances out alone on the canvas platform." This line shows a woman being very eccentric, and this is something totally new for the era, because before, women obviously had to be completely dressed up. They had to be covered in clothes from head to toe, and now women are drinking in public, dancing in public, wearing scandalous clothes, and getting with men they don't even know. That is obviously a woman stepping outside of her social classes. Another line that shows luxury is, "A chauffeur in a uniform of robin's egg blue crossed my lawn early that Saturday morning with a surprisingly formal note." It shows luxury because Gatsby has the money to have servants. He has butlers, he has maids, he has gardeners, he has people to make any meal he wants, he has people to send out and send invitations to people. This shows luxury for that reason. Another line that shows luxury is, dressed up in white flannels, I went over to his lawn a little after 7. White is a symbol of wealth, clean, and innocence, which is very ironic for the time because none of these people were innocent whatsoever. Another important line in this passage is, young Englishmen dotted about, all well dressed, all looking a little hungry, and all talking in low, earnest voices to a solid and prosperous Americans. I was sure that they were selling something, bonds or insurance or automobiles. They were at least agonizingly aware of the easy money in the vicinity and convinced that it was theirs for a few words in the right key. This is a reference to people making money without even working. They show up to these parties, they cut a few deals, they have money in their pockets. It's also a reference to business and stock market. The stock market was huge for this time. People were investing and making money. It was the biggest way for people to earn fast money. And also, this was pre-stock market crash. The stock market crashed around 1929, so and the stock market was brand new for the time, and everyone wanted a part of it. Those are the lines that show 20s themes in the passage, and the lines that I think Fitzgerald put in there to show Gatsby's parties being very luxurious, very extravagant, people drinking and gossiping, people cutting deals, and these are all 20s themes. The significance of this piece sets the tone of Gatsby being extravagantly wealthy. The passage affects the novel by creating the entire setting of Gatsby's estate and this whole setting of the novel. Fitzgerald includes this passage to show the lifestyle of wealthy during the 1920s. Again, by selecting this passage, I want the audience to have a sense of the extreme wealth and extravagance of a 1920s lifestyle. Thank you.